All right. Can you guys hear me? Everything okay? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone. I'm Jaimee. I definitely recognize a few of your names from some of our strategy calls that we've had. So, thank you so much for joining, taking the time out of your evening. I hope that we'll be able to provide you guys with some good information on graduate school opportunities in Europe. Okay. This meeting will be recorded in case you're attending on behalf of someone or in case you wanted to share it with someone who might be interested in this information. It'll be recorded and shared to our website so you guys can take a look at it a little later on your own time, okay? So of course, so today's topic is graduate school in Europe. So I'm actually speaking with Kristen, our other advisor. You guys might know her from strategy calls or from emails or just from some of the live Q&As that she does as well. We were discussing, creating a special presentation just for students who are interested in getting their master's degrees. I do find we work pretty often with students who are getting their bachelor's degrees, but master's degree students need a lot of support as well. The one difference that we find is that a lot of you guys have already done a lot of your research on schools already. So you might just be looking for a little bit of insider information, tips, tricks, and some ideas. So that's kind of what the purpose of this presentation was today, was just to give you guys a little bit of our insight and some of our suggestions. Okay. Okay, so thanks for joining the webinar. So for the duration of the presentation will be about 25 to 30 minutes long, okay? So I'm going to be speaking for most of it. I'd ask that you write down or save any questions that you have at the end. You can feel free to write them in the chat during the presentation, but I'll only get back to you guys at the end, okay? So at the end, what we'll do is we'll do a bit of a live Q&A where I'll ask you guys to raise your hands. You can ask me any questions that you might have. Any questions that we don't get to today, we will make note of them and get back to you guys by email, okay? So a little bit about us. So we're beyond the States. I'm not sure how many of you guys have found us. I know I speak to a lot of you and a lot of you guys find us through TikTok. So I'd love to hear how you guys found us. If you can drop that in the comments, that would be great. So we're beyond the States. So we believe that higher education is a right, not a privilege. So we've dedicated ourselves to helping students pack their bags and study in Europe, where education is a lot more accessible, enjoyable, and affordable for everyone, including English speakers, okay? So we really work with programs that are 100% English taught. So if you're interested in going to Europe, but you're not sure about the language of instruction, don't worry. At the graduate level, we have over 8,000 programs that we work with that are 100% English taught. So there's plenty of opportunities for you guys. Okay. So starting with an overview of what we consider are some benefits of getting your master's degree in Europe. Okay, so studying in Europe is an incredible academic opportunity. It's also a chance to grow as a person. By getting involved in your degree in Europe, you'll be able to connect with people from around the world, create memories that'll stay with you for life. So I wanted to go through a few things that we think are some of the benefits for getting your master's degree in Europe. Number one, high quality education. So European universities are renowned for their rigorous academic standards and consistently rank among the best globally, providing students with top-notch instruction facilities. I think it's a bit of a myth. Some people might think that the quality of the education isn't as good in Europe as it would be in the States. I definitely don't agree. A lot of the schools in Europe are heavily regulated by the government boards. So not only the European boards, but also, let's say the French boards or the Dutch boards. So there's a lot of regulation that goes into education. Okay, so it's very high quality. There's nothing to worry about. I do think that it's not fair to say that education in Europe isn't as good as the States, because it's not true. And then cultural diversity. So studying in Europe offers exposure to a multicultural environment, allowing students to build networks with peers from all different backgrounds. So, you'll go to Europe, you'll meet other international students, international professors, and it won't just be people from Europe, it won't just be people from the States. You'll meet people coming from Asia, coming from Australia, coming from Africa. So you'll really get to meet other international students who are interested in doing the same thing as you. Language acquisition. So as I did mention earlier, while the programs themselves are in English, you will get the opportunity to learn other languages outside of the classroom. So there are a lot of clubs that you can go to, kind of language exchanges. They might just be in pubs or cafes where you'll get to meet other people and practice your languages. Immersion is the best way to learn. So if you're in another country, it's a great way to kind of learn a different language. Travel opportunities. So the geographical proximity of countries makes it easy and affordable for students to explore different cultures and regions during their studies. So as you know, as you guys might know, if you've been to Europe before, there's Ryanair, a very cheap airline where you can kind of jet from one country to another very affordably. And there's plenty of hostels in Europe, so there's lots of opportunities for you to travel. Career advancement. So graduates from European institutions often enjoy enhanced job prospects due to international recognition of their degrees and skills acquired during their studies. So I won't get too into that right now. We will take a look at that a little bit later in the presentation. But yeah, so we'll look at that one later. So some of the most popular countries that I've noticed that students are choosing for their master's degree in Europe. So the Netherlands. The Netherlands is a pretty popular country for not just master's students, but for bachelor's degree students as well. So choosing to study in the Netherlands is great because they have a really high quality of education, excellent cultural diversity, and really innovative approach to learning as well. The country has some really, great universities like the University of Amsterdam, Delft University of Technology. Those schools are consistently ranked among the top institutions globally. So you have a really high quality of education there. In the Netherlands, you'll just want to make note that there are actually two different types of master's programs that you can get. So they come from University of Applied Sciences. Those would be more practice-based research programs. And then you have scientific masters, which are more academic research focused. So when you're browsing for your master's degree, you'll want to think which type of approach would you prefer to take? And then, maybe look at the different curriculums for those programs and, see which ones might be of interest to you. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to note about the Netherlands is the housing crisis is very real. If any of you are studying there or have studied there, you would know there are so many laws on how people are allowed to live in residences. So students, they don't just let students kind of cram into apartments like clown cars, okay? What we suggest is to register for all of the housing websites, all of the Facebook pages. As soon as you know that you're going to be attending a school in the Netherlands, do not delay with your education. Some student housing lists have waiting lists that are up to 2 years long, okay? So as soon as you get a chance, as soon as you know that you're interested in studying there or have been accepted, go and sign up for all of these pages, okay? It's definitely the most stressful part of the whole process, so it's really important to prepare early, stay vigilant, okay? So yeah, that's just a little tip from us. And in issuing of visa applications can take a bit longer than other countries. So some countries, I'd say it usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get your visa. The Netherlands, it can take 3 to 6 months, okay? So make sure that you're allowing enough time to process the visa, okay? So as soon as you get that letter of acceptance, you want to start on getting your student visa. Just a little tidbit about the Netherlands as well. So this is a country that we used to recommend often. We used to always suggest that students study in the Netherlands just because, the quality of the program, it's a quite comfortable country to study in as well. But there have been some changes politically, and at the moment they might be trying to get rid of some of the programs that were 100% English taught. They want to make them more accessible for Dutch students. So if you're looking for a program that's starting in 2025 or 2026, right now it might be listed as an English taught program, but the situation is a little bit volatile, so that might change next year, okay? So just keep that in the back of your mind that, you might be getting attached to a program right now, but it's not guaranteed that that same program will be 100% English taught in the next year. Things are kind of up in the air. We don't have an exact timeline for when these programs are going to be changed over, so it's just important that you stay vigilant about that, okay? All right, on to the next country. So France. France is another country that definitely stands out as an attractive destination for graduate students. I mean, it has, rich culture, very prestigious universities, and many master's programs that are offered in English. Some of the world's oldest and most esteemed universities are actually in France. So they offer, a very diverse range of programs across various disciplines. Something that I do find interesting about France is that, you know, international students, all of you guys will have the right to work when you're there. So I think if I'm not wrong, you're allowed to work up to 20 hours per week while you're a student, which is a benefit for some students, especially at the master's level that, you know, might need to work a part-time job to help support themselves during their studies. Okay. So if that's something that's important to you, the work study visa is quite easy to get. You know, if you're a student, you'll automatically have a permission to work, okay? So that's really good. Perfect. And another thing that France has, I'm not sure if you guys are a member of our community. If you're not, you should definitely go join it. James will link it in the chat box, but I recently spoke about the CAF. So it's called the Caisse d'allocation familiale. And what it is it's something that even international students can apply for. It's sort of like a housing stipend. So you might get €100 a month towards your rent. Okay. So it seems small, but it definitely helps, you know, especially if you're a student, it goes a long way. Even if let's say you start your program in September, so you'll arrive in September, it might take a few months for the housing stipend to come through, but it's all backdated. So let's say it takes 3 months, you would get 3 months of backdate payment. So if you are going to France to study, I would 100% recommend that you look into that housing stipend. For more information, like I said, I did post about it in our community, so you can go take a look at that. Another thing about France that's nice is, you know, after you finish your degree there, you can take advantage of what they call the post-study work visa. So you're allowed to stay in the country up to 2 years after graduation to work or start a business. And you know, that can always be extended. If you have a business, it's easier to extend your visa. If you have a job, it's easier to get sponsorship and extend your visa. But that 2 years is kind of like a safety net where you have 2 years to see if you're able to find something, if you're able to start something, if you really want to stay in France. So it's nice to have experienced the country as a student, and then you get the chance to stay on and, you know, and experience working life there. Okay. Czechia, another country, super popular with students. You know, again, they have really high quality education and very affordable universities. So they have really good schools, and it's a lot more affordable there. So the tuition is not that expensive, especially compared to US prices, okay? You have Charles University, you have Anglo-American University, you have Czech Technical University. All of those are based in Prague, and they have a variety of programs taught in English. Prague is a very vibrant city. You know, it has stunning architecture. You can see from this photo, it has really nice architecture, nice backdrop for your academic pursuit. As I mentioned earlier, you know, the cost of living is generally lower than in many Western European countries as well. So you might know, but a lot of the cost of living is increasing in Western Europe. It's increasing in Prague and Czech Republic as well, but it's still relatively lower than some other countries there. So you'd be able to enjoy a bit of a comfortable lifestyle while managing your finances, okay? If this is a country that you're interested in and you've started applying for schools, or you're in the process of doing it, you might have heard about the nostrification process. So that's where you need to get your degree from the States or from another country. You need to get it recognized, okay? So you need to get your bachelor's degree, or you need to get your high school diploma like verified by their embassy to make sure that it works for their university, okay? So that can be a bit of a lengthy process. It can take a couple of months, so please make sure that you're staying on top of that. If you do get a letter of acceptance from one of these schools, they usually will send you an information guide step by step on how to get this degree recognized, okay? So that's just something to be aware of and something extra to plan in. And then usually what I'm hearing is then after you get that done and you work on your student visa, it can take about 6 to 8 weeks for the student visa to come through. So definitely is something you want to, if you're looking at the fall intake dates, I'd be starting the process as soon as possible. I wouldn't be waiting any longer just for all the extra steps you need to take. And then lastly, similar to France, but better than France in a way, is after you graduate. So any student who's graduated from a Czech university actually have access to their labor market for the rest of their lives. So this means that companies can hire you in the same way that they would hire citizens from their own country. So this is actually one of the only countries in in Europe that has this benefit. So they want you, so they've educated you, they want you to stay there. So, if staying in Europe and staying out of the US permanently is your goal, Czechia is definitely a good place to take a look at some degree programs. Okay. This is a question that I get asked quite a lot when I'm consulting with you guys. So what's the program structure like for master's degrees? So, master's programs in Europe are definitely shorter. Not all the time, but you can often find programs that are 1 year or maybe 2 years. So it depends on the country and the program. More like technical scientific programs do tend to take the full 2 years, but you can usually get a business master's, business graduate program in about a year. There's flexible options, so you might be able to do full-time or part-time. So if the program is 1 year full-time, you might be able to split it over 2 years in case you need to work on the side as well to support yourself. Like I said, the 1 year programs are quite common in the Netherlands and in the UK. So you would be looking at business or humanities type programs, usually for those 1 year 1 year masters. And then I just wanted to note something about France, okay? So the French do things a little bit differently, even though there was this Bologna Declaration that was put into place. The French still use a lot of their own terms. So if you are browsing master's programs in France, these programs are always 2 years, but it can be a little bit confusing because they're going to advertise it as M1 and M2. You need to have an M2 to have your master's degree, okay? So if you see something as M1, it's not a 1 year master's program, it's just the first year. Your first year is usually a general focus and your second year is a specialized focus. If you have any questions about that, we can always work together and we can help you guys find the right programs, okay? Coursework. So the way that they're structured is, it's pretty similar to the US. I'd say they're not super different. So a lot of the master's programs, will have lecture-based components, so foundational knowledge from experienced faculty, often in large groups, depending on, which field of study you're in. The classrooms could be quite big. You might be looking at 30, 40 students. If you're looking at something a little bit more specialized, it could be smaller classrooms of 10 to 20 students, okay? You have seminars as well that you can get involved in, so smaller interactive sessions focusing on discussions, themes, or case studies. Practical projects, again, this is something I find especially in the Netherlands, they really take this approach to hands-on learning, okay? So you're going to be doing hands-on experience through group work, internships, field work that are going to be preparing you for the workplace. And then of course, same as you'd have in the States, a thesis at the end of the year or at the end of your degree to demonstrate your findings both to your peers and professors. Sometimes you might just be submitting like a paper, like a thesis paper. Sometimes you might have to present it in front of the class. So if that's something that concerns you, definitely take a look at the curriculums and see what kind of thesis you'll have to do, if it's a written one or if it's a presentation one. So I had mentioned in the previous slide about internships, and I did just want to make a separate kind of note on these. Some of you that I've met would know that my background is in Erasmus. So I worked as an Erasmus program manager for about 5 years. So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, what it is it's a European Union program that supports education, training, and cultural exchange among universities. So essentially what you get to do is if you're studying at a European university, you'd have the chance to go to another European university. So let's say you're studying in Austria. You'd have the opportunity to go and spend 1 semester abroad in, let's say, France, where you'd have the chance to either do an internship that would be considered as course credit, as long as it's related to your studies, or you'd get to study at a different institution, okay? So what you need to do is you'd need to go into the Erasmus office of your school and let them know that this is something that you're in fact interested in and what are the opportunities. If you prefer a work experience, you'll need to let them know. If you prefer just to go and take classes at another university, you'll need to let them know and they'll work with you and they'll help you. These programs are heavily funded, okay? So it usually won't cost you very much. You'll be paying your tuition, of course, and then you might have to save a little bit of money for expenses, but for the most part, they're quite heavily funded. So definitely chat with the international office, with the Erasmus program manager at your university and see what kind of opportunities are available for you. Okay, how are people, and more specifically American people, how are they financing their master's programs in Europe? So tuition fees, I mean, are generally significantly lower than in the US. So a lot of countries offer, low-cost education for EU students as well. So if you have EU citizenship through a parent or through a grandparent, you might be eligible for the EU tuition benefit, which decreases the cost even further. In some cases, makes it free. That's just something that you'll need to check on a case-by-case basis, okay? If you don't have EU citizenship, that's fine. You can find master's programs that are as low as €2,000 per year and up to 30,000 per year. I'd say the average price that students that I'm working with are paying right now is about 8,000 to 12,000 euro per year. Just keep in mind that would be tuition only, so I'm not factoring in cost of living, just because that varies very much by country and by city, okay? Another way that people are financing these programs is through scholarships. So there are numerous scholarships that are available for international students, okay? You will need to do quite a bit of research. There aren't loads, but there are some. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely have a look at what kind of scholarships you might be able to get. Like I said earlier as well, part-time work. So some students work part-time during their studies to help cover living expenses. Regulations do vary by country. So as I said, France has a good work-study program. Ireland has a really good work-study program as well. So there are quite a few of these countries that will let you work part-time. 529 plans. So this is another thing that we get asked a lot. And again, if you're a member in our community, you'll have seen the post that Kristen made. But for those of you that aren't members yet, I just wanted to add the link here. So certain schools in Europe actually do allow you to access your 529 funds. So you'll need to go to this website that I've put here. James, maybe you can drop it in the chat just for ease of copy paste, but it's savingforcollege.com/eligible institutions. So you can actually go on that website, find your school and browse through and see if they accept 529 plans, okay? Okay. Jaimee's favorite master's programs in Europe. Okay, favorite, I don't know, but it's two master's programs that have really stood out to me in the last couple of months working with students. So I just wanted to show you guys what I found. I'll tell you a little bit about the students and the programs that I found for them and why I selected them. Okay, so I was working with a student who came to me after having purchased our guaranteed admissions package. So they wanted to find something where they can combine their interest in AI, cybersecurity, and digital forensics. So this particular person had already graduated from their bachelor's degree a few years ago and was in the workforce already. So they were working in IT management, debugging, and virtual reality development. But they wanted to take another step and they wanted to get a little bit more experience specifically in cybersecurity, okay? They just saw much more opportunities for employability with that, so they wanted to learn more about that and see what kind of programs they could get. This student was concerned a little bit about budget. So they were looking for not only tuition that was low cost, but a country that was low cost. And they were looking for a program of rigor. So after doing my research, I found this program that I thought was really interesting. If you guys were in my last webinar, you'll see that I do like Estonia. I love Eastern Europe. So it's something that I'm trying to slip into all of these webinars because I do think it's a country that gets overlooked. And I don't think it should. I think it's an excellent country for students to go study in. So this particular program at Tallinn University of Technology, Taltech, it's a great program. So there's selective admission, okay? So only 25 students per year get admitted to this program. So with the small class, you get a lot of attention from your professors. There's a big coding focus in this program. So it was giving him a strong technical foundation for cybersecurity success and high employability. So graduates excel in roles like security analysis and forensic experts. So with his work experience, with his bachelor's degree, and then with this master's degree, he'd have a great success finding a job. Why Estonia? Okay, so Estonia, people are calling it the next Silicon Valley just because it seems to be like a leading digital society at the moment. A lot of multinational tech companies, cybersecurity companies are all starting to kind of base themselves there. So there's a lot of opportunities for internships, for work after. It's a great way to get a lot of real world experience at the same time as studying in that sector. Connectivity, there's free Wi-Fi in the city as well, which I think is kind of interesting, and there's really good internet speed, so perfect for this student, and accessibility. So there's easy access to Western Europe and a 2-hour ferry to Helsinki if you wanted to go there. Some program highlights. So this was actually a joint degree from 2 of the technical universities, which is kind of nice to have. And again, it really touched on his specializations that he was interested in. So cybersecurity, digital forensics, and cryptography. Okay, next. So this was a completely different area of study, but I was working with a student who was also on our guaranteed admissions package, which is a great way for us to really, suggest the best programs for you due to the amount of consultations we get to have with you guys. So she was interested in creative business or creative management programs, but was really specific. She only wanted to study in Italy or France. That was it. She wasn't open to anywhere else. So when I was, looking at her original profile, I thought that this program at Kedge Business School in Paris would be perfect. So it's an art and creative industries program. These programs are also becoming more and more popular. These arts and creative industries, or they might be called creative business. So I'm noticing quite an uptick in those areas of study. So I thought Kedge was great because they have this hands-on learning approach that we discussed earlier, not just in the classroom, but there's also a lot of internships or seminar days where they get to go to cultural institutions in Paris, which is great. So like I said, on-site learning at institutions like the Louvre and the Paris Opera. I mean, what more could you ask for in creative business? That's just amazing, amazing opportunities. There was a diverse curriculum, so it wasn't a very set curriculum. She was able to kind of pick and take what she wanted from a list of classes and kind of shape her own degree. So there was creative business in the performing arts, in the cultural industries, and creative services. So she was able to really shape her own degree and get what she needed out of it. It's only a 1-year program, which is quite nice. So this included master classes, workshops, study trips, etc. And then just something else that's nice about this program is an international seminar. So every January, students attend a seminar with global experts discussing arts management across various countries, enriching their perspective on the industry. High employability. So Kedge holds what we call the prestigious Triple Crown accreditation. This is something that business schools in Europe can get. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it if you've been looking at business schools, but it's a Triple Crown accreditation. So it ensures, the highest educational standards and excellent job placement opportunities. So students graduating from this university are very much in high demand for jobs in this kind of field. And the admissions were fairly straightforward as well. So they were just looking for a little bit of work experience and a relevant degree. So she had a degree in arts history. So with that and with a little bit of work experience that she was able to apply and get accepted to this program. They do welcome diverse backgrounds. Like I said, a relevant degree would be something like history, art, media management. They take a little bit more of a holistic approach when they're looking at your profile. So they're open to all different backgrounds. Okay. Is my degree from Europe good in the US? This is a question that we get asked on a weekly basis. So yes, your master's degree will be recognized if you choose to come back to the US to work. Oftentimes, I find students who were able to actually leave the US, go to a different country, and get a degree abroad can be even more employable. It shows determination, it shows dedication, it shows that you're not afraid to, experience something new, meet new people, and really get out of your comfort zone, okay? The only exceptions for degrees not fully transferring over would be anything that requires licensure, okay? So we're looking at medical type programs, certain architecture degrees. So anything where you would need to come back to the US and get a license to practice whatever it is that you want to practice. It's not that your degree doesn't transfer over, it's that you would have additional hoops to jump through when you come back, because if you were studying in Germany, they would have been preparing you for the German licensure exam, not the American one. So oftentimes students will come back to the US and they might need to do 6 months to a year of self-study just to get themselves ready for that licensing exam in the US, okay? So just something to keep in mind if you wanted to do anything with licensure. All right. So if you're interested in working with us, I definitely invite you to take a look at some of our offerings and some of our packages. We have a discount code for $700 off our guaranteed admission. So if you use webinar 700, you can use that to get our guaranteed admissions access, which includes lifetime access to our database, where you can browse through, as I said, over 8,000 English taught, fully accredited master's programs. You'll also have access to our community that I mentioned a few times in this presentation as well. You'll get 3 one-to-one consults with our advising team. So these consults are 45 minutes long, where we really get to know you and we can help you with, whatever it is that you need assistance with in the process. Okay, it would either be with myself or with my colleague Kristen. We're also going to be reviewing your motivation letter. So when it comes time for you to apply to these schools, we'll take a look at your motivation letter, which you need to apply, and we'll help you guys curate it and make sure it's suitable for that program. And then the most important thing, I think, is definitely our best fit list curation. So as I said before, those 2 programs that I was working with students, I can do that for you. So we get you to fill out a really detailed intake form, and based on that, I'd suggest 3 to 5 programs that I think would be suitable for you, or for your son or daughter, or whoever you're interested in attending university in Europe. And with the guaranteed admissions, you also get access to online courses and email support from us. Okay, so that was a little bit about graduate programs in Europe. Okay, so I'll just take a few questions now. I'll take maybe 3 or 4 questions if we have them right now. And if I can't get back to you, please just start dropping them in the chat and we'll get back to you by email, okay? So Christopher, I see you have a question.
Hi, yes, hello. I'm Christopher Benitez Cuartas. I am from Union County, New Jersey, studying at Seton Hall University here in New Jersey, in the US, of course. You mentioned that the programs you work with are largely English-based. I am interested in specifically the graduate sociology program at the University of Coimbra in Portugal. And I speak fluent Portuguese, and I'm interested in taking those courses in Portuguese. Can you still help me with that, or are you exclusively catering to students who prefer or need English courses?
Yeah, so look, we mostly do work like you won't find that program in our database. So our database is only programs that are English taught. I would love to maybe take a look at your profile. Maybe if you can send it to us by email, I can have a look at what you're looking for. I'll take a quick look at the program and I'll see if this could be something that I could help you with. So James, could you maybe drop the email in the chat, and we'll take a look at your profile, Christopher, and see if we can give you a hand with that, okay?
Thank you.
No problem. Did you have any other questions about anything?
I mean, I guess, but might as well send those in an email.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I see Donna has a hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So I put this in the chat too, but basically if you are only pursuing a master's degree in the Netherlands, I know that they're planning on changing, but is that just for undergraduate, or are they also going to be changing the master's programs to change it over so that they're not all English taught? I don't know.
Again,
yeah.
It's all kind of up in the air. I would be surprised if it didn't touch the master's. The way that it's going, I think it's going to affect the graduate programs as well. So definitely keep an eye on that. I really do think it's going to touch the master's programs. I do.
So I'm wondering, like, maybe the sooner you get in, the better, the higher probability that it won't, right? Like my son is actually, he's in the process of getting his undergraduate degree in the Netherlands, which, by the way, he goes to University College Roosevelt, which is outstanding.
Oh, nice.
And has housing, so it's incredible.
Yeah.
And he's thinking to go to Utrecht maybe to get a master's. He's got another year of his undergraduate, but I was like, no, take a year or 2 off. But I'm thinking maybe things would have changed too much by that point, huh?
I wouldn't wait, to be honest, because again, and this is something that Kristen and I talk about every week is we're wondering, like, if people that get accepted into these programs now, are they going to be grandfathered in and don't need to take those courses in English? So I would don't need to take those courses in Dutch, sorry. So I do think that if you can start sooner, you'll have a better chance of getting that full degree in English.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have any other questions? I can't see any hands.
So it looks like there's no, oh, sorry. Bo has a question.
Yeah, you're good. I posted it in the chat. I'm just at the gym, so I'll try to not speak. I'm just listening while I'm on the treadmill here. I guess my question is, as I'm looking into programs, I think a big part of financing that for me is I'm a digital nomad. So I've worked remotely and traveled Europe doing that. And now I'm looking to, obviously, I love Europe, fell in love, and have been wanting to do a master's program for a while. What is the possibility, or I guess reality, of continuing remote work? Because obviously US hours, your hours are like, 3 or 4 in the afternoon until 11 at night, while also doing like a part-time course load. And I think this follow-up to that is there like a minimum course load requirement for student visa eligibility?
Yeah, so I mean, look, like I mentioned earlier, some of these programs, if they're 1 year, you might be able to do it part-time across 2 years, okay? So if I was you, I'd be looking for programs where you're allowed to do part-time study, and then, you'd be able to work remotely in your free time, or on the weekends, or whenever you need to do that. The only thing that you'll need to look in is taxes, how you're going to manage your taxes, because if you're a resident of certain countries in Europe, they might want to tax you on the income that's coming into that country. So that's something you'll definitely want to get a little bit of advice on, from an immigration person or an accounting person. But you'll definitely want to look at your taxes and how the US would handle your taxes as well. So that's something that I would be looking at. But as far as, the degree goes, you can look for programs that would be part-time. So I think if it's part-time, you would be taking 2 or 3 courses per semester.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, Emily Henderson.
Hello. I was just wondering about the graduate programs. Here in the States, you have to take the GMAT or the GRE. Do you have to do that for the European universities, or what do you have to do?
Not always. So you don't always need to take the GMAT. Oftentimes they'll just be looking at, your GPA and your transcripts from your bachelor's degree. We actually do, if you're one of our members, you'll know this, but we do have a filter for programs that require or don't require the GMAT. So that's something you'll be able to take a look at. But the thing with European admissions is it's not one size fits all. They're all different. So you'll be able to find something that will require the GMAT. You'll be able to find something that won't need it. So it's really up to your research and what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so I think Jaimee, if you want to just glance over the comments section for real quick,
yeah.
if there's any that you want to pick out. So I think maybe do one more, maybe 2 more if there's 2 quick ones, and then we'll end it.
I had one. You just answered the question on the sort of requirements for admission. Is it as fluid for medical school as well, or medical school is a little bit more structured? Like, for example, I was looking at UK, they require GCSE, they require A levels, etc. Is that more streamlined, or is it just the same?
So a lot of the medical schools that are going to be taught in English in Europe are going to be based in countries like Hungary, Poland. So a lot of them are going to be in kind of Central Eastern Europe. Okay, and again, they are a little bit more fluid, so they're going to be asking for different things depending on the country and depending on the school. For medical schools, they're usually going to be looking at they want to see a strong GPA. They're going to want to see AP courses from American students. They're probably going to want to be looking at SAT scores as well. So those ones you're going to want to be submitting as much as you possibly can, with high grades, of course, in sciences and in math.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Okay, Rebecca, question for later. I have a bachelor's in music education and I want to continue that. Are there any opportunities for music students? There are, absolutely. There's a lot of great programs at fine arts academies in Italy, France, Austria has a couple music programs. So there are definitely some that you can find. If you want help looking for them, contact me and we can get you set up.
I got one more quick
Um,
one, just while we're
Yeah.
on the topic of. And so I know you mentioned the guaranteed enrollment. Can you speak just like the other ways that we can work with you and kind of what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment, we have 3 different kind of packages that we offer. So the first one is it's more of a DIY option. So it's called the Basic Explorer. And with that one, you'd have access to our database. This is one where you would browse through the database on your own. There are plenty of different filters. Like I said, there's a filter for GMAT, no GMAT. There's a filter for tuition, for area of study, for country, for all different types of things, and you can browse through and see which kind of programs you'd be interested in studying. With that one as well, you get access to a couple online courses through our Beyond the States portal, so you'll be able to take a look at some information that we've put there, and you get access to our community group that I've spoken about a few times in this meeting, where you get to meet with other families, speak with other people who are doing this, who have done this before. They're sharing stories and information. It's a great community, really. And then we have our perfect placement, which is the one kind of in the middle. So that one comes with access to the database for 1 year, access to the community for 1 year. You get this best fit list curation. So we'd get you to fill out the intake form. I'd take a look at it and I would suggest 3 to 5 programs for you based on what you told me in that. And we get 1 consultation. So some families or students will take it before I build the list. Some will take it after. It's really up to your personal preference. So yeah, I mean, really, and then we also offer a la carte services as well. You can go take a look at our packages page and our offerings page and see what we have available. We have a couple good discounts at the moment on some of our packages, so you can take a look at those and join us. We've helped plenty of students, so we'd love to help you as well if you're looking for a bit of extra support.
Thanks so much. Just a quick follow-up. What's the general timeline like of students you're working with? Is it a year out, they're just kind of starting to look into it, or kind of a spectrum?
So look, if you're looking for January, if you're looking for June, so I can't speak. If you're looking for fall 2025, I wouldn't wait any longer. Okay, a lot of the application deadlines are coming up. With that being said, it's not impossible to find programs on a tighter deadline, but you will be a little bit more limited. So a lot of the programs right now, their application deadlines might be closing in March. So you'd want to kind of start now to identify it, to get your application process together, and then that gives you plenty of time to process your visa, get any degrees recognized. So I definitely wouldn't wait. If you're looking for 2026, you have plenty of time. So it's really up to you.
And do most
when you
programs
want to go.
start? And do most programs start in the fall, or are there also spring programs as well?
Good question. They mostly start in the fall. There are a few that start in January, but they're extremely limited.
Okay.
So yeah, so most of them do start in the fall. Yeah. Okay, guys, perfect. So look, I'm going to take a look at all of your questions in the chat later, and we'll get back to you by email as soon as possible. But if you guys did have any other questions, feel free to pop them in the chat now, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Otherwise, James has put my email in there, so you can, contact me with anything that you might need. And we'll be sharing this webinar live on our website as well, so you'll be able to come and review any information that you might have missed or share it with anyone that you think would be interested in it. Okay. So look, thank you so much for joining. It was nice speaking to you. I hope I gave you guys a little bit more insight on graduate school opportunities in Europe. And I hope to work with you guys soon.
Thanks so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I scheduled an appointment with one of you guys for tomorrow. I was wondering if I could have her email. Hold on. What's her name?
I think it's Kristen because I don't
Yes.
have any appointments. Is it possible that it's Kristen?
Yes, it says
Thank
here,
you.
Kristen Hammaker. What is her email? Just
Perfect.
because I want to send her my information beforehand.
Oh, James is fast. He put it in the chat already.
Great. Thank you very much. Take
No
care.
problem.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.